I'm Stephanie with Staff Base Academy.
Imagine this is your organization, with all its departments and people. Now, if I asked you who the communicators are, what would you say? Well, you'd probably point me to the comms department over there with all of its team members. Sorry, that's not the answer we were looking for. Everyone in your organization is a communicator.
Good communication is so much more than just passing on information. Great communicators add context to the messages they share, and they're a source of credible information. So what's the role of a comms team here? Enabling and coaching all your communicators to be great. And today, we'll talk about how to do that. In this video, we'll talk about enabling 3 groups within your organization: top leadership and CEOs, line managers, and internal publishers.
Everyone looks to top management. That's why the way they communicate is so important. They should speak with one voice and are seen as communication role models for every other leader in the company. CEOs are especially important communicators because, as research shows, they are one of the most trusted local sources of information.
So what should CEOs be communicating? The most important thing leaders should be talking about is an organization's vision and strategy. They don't just pass on information, they give it context. And make sure to keep addressing the strategy and how the context changes.
In our experience, what comms teams say about their CEOs ranges from, "We are so lucky our CEO is a born communicator," to, "Our CEO is not interested in internal comms and only cares about external comms."
So what are some challenges of CEO communication? And what can you do about it? CEOs don't have much time. That's why they often don't make internal comms a priority. So make it as easy and effortless for them as possible to communicate. CEOs love feedback too. Just like anybody else, CEOs love hearing encouraging feedback, so make sure it actually reaches them. And finally, CEOs are people too. Some of them don't like being in front of a camera. They might not like public speaking, or they might not be strong writers. That might be holding them back, even if they are willing to communicate. So make sure you find a format that fits their personality to make it easier to communicate. Now let's talk about CEO enablement. Leadership training for comms is all about self-awareness. It aims to make leaders conscious of who they are as communicators and the impact they have on employees. One example of enablement is focusing on communication styles.
As a leader, are you speaking to the hearts or to the minds of people? Great leaders manage to speak to both, connecting the analytical with the emotional.
Often leaders are more developed in analytical communication. That might be why they're in their role. So it's important to help them develop the emotional side of communication. You can do that through topics like empathy and authenticity. For example, sharing personal stories to help get that message across. Let's take a look at line manager communication. As we said earlier, top management delivers the strategy for the organization. Line management then comes in and adds local context to that information. They tell their team what their role is in delivering the overall strategy.
So, what are some of the challenges of line manager communication? Information overload is common for line managers. Traditionally, they were seen as part of the comms process because they were expected to hand down information as part of the cascade. They were used by all departments as a funnel for all information, and that is just too much. Losing sight of the original intention of the message is another major challenge for line managers. The further down the chain they are, the less able they are to add context to the information they pass on. This can lead to the importance of messages getting lost. And finally, line managers often don't receive communication training, even though they are in such an instrumental role.
So what can you do to enable line managers? Here are 3 ideas.
Provide comms training. Great communicators are able to provide context to messages and are able to build constructive conversations with their employees afterwards. These are key areas to focus on when training line managers. Lighten the load. Modern channels can bring relief to overloaded line managers because operational updates can be shared here directly. That gives line managers the space to focus on the important topics of their roles. This can also include enabling them to enable champions in their team and support them in their comms activities. Create better input together. Involve them in the input process. They often know in advance which type of questions their team will ask. Enable them to translate the input they receive to create material that is short and to the point.
Here's an example for how to do it in a leadership context. Make comms training part of the leadership strategy offsites. Each manager can be asked to present an elevator pitch on how they would present the offsite information to their employees. This will help frame the message and internalize the strategy. Now let's talk about the third group, internal publishers. Internal publishers are local champions, influencers, individuals from business units, initiatives, countries, locations, or service units. They know a lot or care a lot about a certain topic, and they communicate this through internal channels. This can include operational updates or insights into key topics, like when machinery maintenance is scheduled or a new home office policy. Often, this is a great place to find stories inside the company to share on the outside.
You can imagine them as independent vloggers or writers, all creating content on topics of their interest. Their contribution is valuable because they have local insight and can add a lot of value and relevance to the content and your channels. The challenge with this group? Coordinating so many different people and their content.
Their enablement should include training on guidelines, how to use the platform, the overall messaging strategy, and how to create good content. We cover this in our comms planning video, so you should check that out for more details. And one last thing, enablement takes more time than producing content, but it'll change the way you're viewed as a professional communicator, a business person, a trainer, and a coach. So what are you waiting for? We hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out our other videos in this series and our additional resources. Take care and see you next time.